So last week we promised you something that doesn't sound sexy, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you work in health, social care, or big organizations, and procurement is any part of your world, this is one of the highest leverage conversations we're going to have, because procurement eats time and budget, and not doing it regularly, which is what most humans do, really costs the organization money. And often it lands with like one or two people who are already stretched. I don't think there are anyone who isn't stretched. So if that sounds familiar, this episode of The Breathing Room is for you. My name is Laura Chattington. I partner with companies to embed AI into their workflows and their delivery so you can save time, add more value, and fully leverage AI to scale without sacrificing your sanity. I'm here with Tara Lee, who has 20 years experience in health, social care, and work in the third sector. Her background is in commissioning of over £500 million and a proven ability to drive transformational programs that yield tangible results. And we're here to help you embed AI into your organizational rhythm using the tools that you already have and really taking the opportunities that AI can give you and your team and aligning that importantly with culture and change for real life challenges. So procurement.
Yeah, so I guess why are we focusing on procurement? So when we were thinking about some of the real life opportunities for organizations and thinking about how we can support organizations through this Breathing Room series, one of the things that really struck us is that no organization is an island. It doesn't matter what type of organization you're running, you will be reliant on suppliers of other goods and services, whether it's anything from cleaning services through to consumables. So procurement and securing and sourcing suppliers, which in effect is what procurement is, will be a part of your world. Now, I've been on both sides of this. So as Laura says, I've been a commissioner of health and care services of over £500 million. I've also been a provider of services in the health and social care landscape as well. So it's a territory that's really familiar with me. But I'm also really clear about how much time and resource that procurement processes demand. It sucks a whole heap of time and energy. Sometimes that results in fantastic contracts, services, etc. Sometimes, not always, we get the best results out of procurement processes. So the things that strike me is that's not a result of people doing procurement badly. You know, the process itself is absolutely relentless.
Yeah.
It really takes so much time, effort, resource, thinking capacity. You know, trying to get to that space, Laura, where we've got a really clear specification that really nails down exactly what we want, that is compliant and captures everything that we need from a provider, can take weeks.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. It is a process that because it takes so much time, people just don't have the time. And so you do it in the best way you can. And what that means is that suppliers quite rightly won't renegotiate contracts, won't look for savings, won't look for opportunities where you can be more efficient with your spend, with your budget, with how you sort of work out how to do all of the procurement. And really that is a great example of where you can embed AI into that work stream so that it does all that work for you. Right, it's taking the heavy lifting off and then there's so much opportunity, and it's something that we've discussed is like the amount of opportunity. I mean, it really is direct savings, right? It's budget, it's money in the bank. Yeah. And I think
looking at the market engagement piece, looking at where we might get better unit costs out of the market, that from everything from sort of contract award communications and management of contracts, that there is real scope and opportunity end to end in procurement process and practices for AI to add value. Because we know, having operated in this space for, as you say, almost 20 years, for smaller organizations and for smaller teams, this is the sort of thing that can really bring organizations to their knees. So I guess what would be really super helpful is, where do we think, what could AI support with? Where do we think it could happen in practice?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've done a similar thing with a company in the US where looking at the procurement, where can AI help? Where can AI get some money? It's money back ultimately. And this company was supplier, and it's not very it's not very sexy in any way. They were supplying kind of big universities in the US with everything except the training and the learning. So like things, kitchen cleaning stuff and tables and all of that kind of thing that isn't cool, isn't the cool bit, but actually the budgets were millions and millions and millions of dollars, right? So if you think about it, if you're saving kind of 5 or 10% off any budget, whatever size it is, then it really is worth doing this. Now, where does AI help? Well, AI, if you think about it in terms of the way that you do your procurement, you do the negotiation, you do the market research, you put the tender documents together, you do the evaluations, you do the negotiations, you do all of that. And many times you do that, and you might have a look at that maybe once every 6 months, and like, let's look at our contracts and see what we need to, is there opportunities to be more efficient or save money or things like that. And I would say if companies are doing that 3 or 4 times a year, they're doing it a lot because no one's got any time. It's like a load of data in spreadsheets that we as humans, we're like, ooh, hate all of that. But actually for AI, it's like, loves that. So it's going to look at all of the efficiencies in your budget, what's happening in the market. We're looking at what other opportunities, what other negotiations, look at modeling your budget, your data, your spend, looking across all of that, which you would do probably in a very, time consuming way as you and maybe someone else in the team.
Sometimes, as you say, there's just not the time.
Just not the time, right?
People's day jobs. And so quite often, as you say, we're not necessarily doing that horizon scanning across the market around looking at the opportunities, because people are just so stretched in terms of capacity.
Yeah, exactly. So when you plug AI into this, and again, as we always say, it's not like press a button and never look at it again. When you plug AI can do that every hour, every day, every week, you know what I mean? It's crunching all the numbers. It's crunching your numbers. It's looking at the market. It's, looking at your contracts. It's, running evaluation reports extremely efficiently so that, every week, or depending on how often you want to see it, you're looking at because you're not necessarily going to have time to go and renegotiate all your contracts. But what you can do is go, okay, well, if this section here, these 3 suppliers here are overcharging us by X%, and we renegotiate that, we're going to save 5% of our budget, then that's where to spend the time and where to get the efficiencies. So it's budget, right? It's budget. And so what AI can do, it's crunching all those numbers all the time across your costs, across the market costs, and then it's giving you the ability to go, okay, we're going to focus on this much because this is the 20% that's going to give us the 80% saving. And it's going to do it as fast. It could do it every 5 minutes if you want to, you know what I mean? I mean, you wouldn't possibly do that, but it can run so regularly that kind of negotiate, it might be that you look at that report once a month and go, okay, that is a substantial saving, so we're going to go and renegotiate that. So actually, how long do people spend doing all of it? I don't, you know better than me.
It really varies from organisation to organisation, but it did just struck me in terms of some of the other potential, Laura, I guess, is around things like getting the best value of what you have. So it might not necessarily be about renegotiating a cost, but it is about driving value with your suppliers and making sure that you get what you've commissioned or you've set out in terms of your specification.
Yeah, I think it's being informed, right, backed with real data. So whether you make sure you get what you think you're getting, whether you renegotiate with the same supplier, or whether you go to the market and look to renegotiate the supply for that part in the supply chain, that's what AI can help you do. And it just means that you're not going to change. It doesn't mean changing everything. It just means that there may be sort of a handful of contracts in your supplier remit that you can go and do better with, and instead of spending all the time kind of trying to crunch all those numbers, AI does all of that. And so the small amount of time that you have, you are actually either saving money, or that you've got the best deal, or that the relationship is really good, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the combination of like the efficiencies of AI with the best bits of humans, right? And that's what it is. Yeah.
And you touch on a really good point. Procurement doesn't happen or exist in a vacuum, does it? So, there's a whole range of other factors that we consider in that space around culture, compliance, risk appetite, accountability, all of that sort of stuff that actually AI can support with.
Yeah.
With the human, very, very important, and we say this in every episode, the human wrapped around that. But it is just about giving people the information that might help in terms of informing their supply chain, knowing where some of their risks might be in terms of their supply chain around compliance, operation, delivery, all of those sorts of things. And we know it. So this is not about AI making the decisions. As we say, it's information, and information is power.
It's fast.
Yes.
It's fast, modeled, processed information that gives you the power to make decisions, right?
Absolutely. And when organizations get it right, and we have seen some and worked with some organizations that have actually really run with some of this, we know that it's time and cost saving for staff. We know it provides better value, both in terms of actual cash releasing efficiencies, but also in terms of ensuring we're getting value for money. And it means that we are monitoring our suppliers with AI support in the most effective way possible.
And again, as you say, combining, it's not doing it in a vacuum, it's combining it with the validation of it's doing chunks of the work and then you validate it, but doing it within the environment that you work in. So there's all the compliance as well, like you say, and just taking a weight of work off people's shoulders, and then at the same time giving them budget back, right? Saving them money, giving them budget back, giving them time back. And those two things, money and time, is really where you want to plug in AI. And as you always say, it's using what you've already got, and it's not having to go on a big mission to build complicated software systems and things like that. So although it's not the coolest subject on the planet, it's actually probably one of the most lucrative places to start in terms of getting time and money back when embedding AI into what you do, and doing it in a way like you described. So if your team is spending more time on procurement admin, or feels like they should be spending more time on procurement admin, and want to be getting your kind of deals and partnerships and suppliers and supply chain in the right place, or feel like I think it applies to most organizations.
If it doesn't, it would be great. So comment below if you don't feel that procurement or supply chain management sits with your organization. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Or you think there is money and time sitting on the table that maybe a contract you probably haven't reviewed in gazillions of years, and you want to know how to change that. Comment below as well, and we can have a conversation. And we're interested to know what you think either way, as Charlie says. Next week, we're going to be sharing what happened when a real-life organization stopped fearing AI risk and started managing it, and what becomes possible when you actually do that. So don't miss next week's episode. We're going to be talking about risk, and actually the risk of not getting engaged with this stuff. And we look forward to seeing you then, and we'll see you then.
See you then.